Thank you very much for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast. Today, I have a fabulous guest, and I have a question for y'all. What if your next big career breakthrough isn't found in a boardroom, but on a trail, in a risk, or through an adventure you never expected? We'll talk about it right after this.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work, an award-winning podcast where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
I thank you very much for tuning in. So I have a gentleman who's probably lived 8 to 20 different life. and so we're going to talk a little bit about just understanding individuals and people and how to use those experiences to grow you, your business, and just life in general. So John, you've lived a life filled with bold experiences. How have your personal adventures shaped the way you show up in business and in leadership?
It's a good question. I think, and first of all, I should say it's a pleasure to be on your podcast, but also I always had this view that there are no boundaries in life, that you can do things that maybe you never thought you could do. And oftentimes the best thing to do is if something seems challenging or forbidding, go there and do that and see what happens. Now, there are risks in doing that. I was washed overboard in the middle of the Atlantic. I had a lifeline attached to me on a 76-foot sailboat. And if I hadn't had the lifeline, I wouldn't be here to talk to you today.
Wow.
I had a near-death experience when I was younger, falling into a raging river that ended in a 100-foot waterfall, and I was able to somehow get myself out of that by jumping from rock to rock. But I think when you go through those experiences, as harrowing as they are, you kind of learn, okay, I got through that. What did I learn? Well, I learned I do some stupid things at times. But I also learned that, I can meet some challenges. I went to graduate school to learn Mandarin, and that was very challenging. But I found in my case, if I really apply myself, and I think this is true in most people, to the challenge that you can meet it. And that later resulted when I started an advertising agency, and I didn't see any boundaries. And I ended up from the small town of Portland, Maine, doing business in South America, in Asia, in Africa, in California, which from Maine is a different country, basically. And then when I moved to New York, basically continued on that path as well. And today I'm doing some things that people said, that can't be done. So a lot of that comes from that initial idea that go where it looks challenging and looks a little scary.
Some of us don't like to look outside the box, John, because we might not have seen it. We get caught up in being safe. The things that you express were not safe. That's the way you feel it, right?
Yeah, that's very true. And I don't think, I'm not saying, well, you should go and sail on a boat across the ocean or fall into a raging river. But I think that you should take on challenges and look at what you learn about yourself. And a challenge is, the level of challenge is different for different people too.
Right.
It could be something very simple, but you just don't want to do that. It could be going in and talking to your boss about a raise or something you want to change in your place of business and thinking it through. we're now in this world of AI. A
Right.
lot of it may be, AI is going to take away my job. Well, if it's going
Right.
to take away your job, learn everything you can about AI so that you can either defend your job or learn to do something new.
And when we think about these things of that's outside of the box, i.e., learning AI, again, something that feels foreign. And so we even look at entrepreneurship. A lot of us go in and we're like, hey, we're kind of focused, we're laser focused, and we don't look at anything else, we don't hear anything else, and we don't always put ourselves in a position to grow. Especially if this is our baby, we're trying to protect it, right?
That's right.
So how do we get into that position or that place to say, you know what, maybe I need to tweak something, maybe I need to grow here or expand there, because a lot of us seem like we can't get into that place because again, like I said, we want to stay safe and we want to protect what is ours.
So there's an old story, and I can't really give you the source at the moment, but it's a study that was done at Stanford Business School many years ago, and they looked at um, uh, students who had a business idea
Mm-hmm.
and they believed they developed it to perfection, and looked
Okay.
at students that said, "I got a German idea. I'm going to try it. I'm going to get it out there. I'm going to get feedback and see what happens." And they looked 5 years after
Okay.
what what was the case. About 80% of the ones that felt they had the perfect solution were out of business. And
Mm-hmm.
the ones that were out there just experimenting, testing, seeing how people responded were very successful. Um, Out of my years of owning a very successful ad agency, I
Mm-hmm.
had an idea I'd been carrying along with me. And the basic idea was companies like to tell their customers what they should be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't we go further in creating a relationship with customers if we ask them what they're interested in and then we adapt it? Okay. So so people say, well, there's no way you can do that. You can't do it. And I thought about, well, when you walk into a retail store, the store clerk asks you questions, you give
Right.
answers. Okay.
Right.
And you start to develop a little relationship
Mm.
there. And after a little while, the clerk or storekeeper knows what you want and can tailor it to your specific needs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why can't that be done digitally? So
Ah.
we've developed a process and a methodology to do that digitally. Okay, now we thought we got the perfect idea and everything, and we're getting some feedback and getting clients, and AI comes along. So now we start to say, well, there are some things that we do. Could they be done better with AI? Well, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So we started to test them. And now we have um, three sections of our platform that are basically run by integrations with AI. We're adding more. It's not always perfect, but it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty good, and we're learning to refine it, and we're testing. We're always putting something out there and checking and seeing how that works.
Right.
And I think I'm confident we'll be successful,
Mm-hmm.
and we're getting good feedback, and and enabling our customers to build relationships of trust with their customers because they're getting to know them.
So let's just stay there real quick with AI. So we view AI as that little mean little monster in the corner that's going to take everybody's jobs, and not understanding that we could use AI to enhance everyone's position, everyone's job, whether it's doing it effectively, more efficiently. Maybe, and I'll use your marketing ad idea, because sometimes we look at font relationships, color theories, things like that, those type of things. And so sometimes we get caught up in that, again, that focus where AI might be able to just twist it just a little, maybe put little sprinkles on it, or whatever, so I think those are the type of things that we don't consider, that, and we get too caught up in, hey, I don't want to lose this or I don't want to lose that. And more especially those people that we love. We hired these individuals because of what we thought they, brought to the table, and we don't want to replace them. So how do we know how to integrate that into our business relationships?
Well, I think like many things, where, what, and how, and breaking things down tell you, is this really a threat, or is it something that we can use to enhance
Mm-hmm.
and to make things better? And so it's not a question, are we eliminating jobs?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think we're improving jobs, and
Right.
we're making jobs better and coming up with new jobs as well. Now, when you look at the different kinds of things that AI does,
Mm-hmm.
it can write for you. It does, it's not going to take on your personality. I mean, that's one
Mm-hmm.
of the things we have to realize.
Right.
AI has no empathy, and it has no
Right.
sense of humor.
Right.
Try asking an AI platform to tell you a joke and see what you get. Right.
Right.
But if you say, tell me a joke that's in the style of David Letterman,
Mm-hmm.
and you maybe give it some qualifications. So now it's got more information. It can do some research, and it can come back to it with something there.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it is refining what you want from it, and also looking at, so that's on the writing side. And
Mm-hmm.
and I would say, if you ever use AI to write, make sure you read it and you look at, how can I add my personality into it as well.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, which we use AI a lot for, is analysis. So you can load in all kinds of information, of data, and ask it to analyze. And it can literally take tasks that would take you 2 weeks and do it in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So then, well, how do I get that kind of a result?
Right.
Well, that comes from learning how to write prompts. Right, there's a job right there.
Ah.
Okay,
Right.
writing
Right.
prompts. And the more specific you can get with a prompt, the more you learn about how to ask it to analyze data, those kinds of things, the better your result will be. It is a garbage in, garbage out proposition.
Mm-hmm.
So don't give it garbage. Okay. And a lot is learning how to do that. And you only learn that by experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at my bookmarks, I probably have 12 different AI platforms that are bookmarked there. There are a couple I use more than others, but
Right.
I've got two from China, and I've got the
Mm-hmm.
ones in the US, and I've got a European one, and a couple of others, and that kind of thing. And I have subscriptions to some, and we have a integration on our platform with one. I'm learning every day
Right.
how to get better results from it. And that's what I think people need to do. I've noticed that what I see on LinkedIn is that there's this whole new segment of AI consultants and
Mm-hmm.
AI trainers. You don't need that. Just start getting on a platform, asking questions, providing information, asking it to do things, and you'll learn what works and what doesn't work.
Right. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time, because I was coming from those individuals that are a little more pessimistic about this, right? I had a bad experience, because that's what we're talking about, experiences and adventures, things like that, right? And so I had a bad experience with that, and I hear what they're going to do, and sometimes we get too caught up in fear. Fear is leading us, and I really, really, really appreciate you, John, helping to dispel that a little bit and explaining how it can enhance us and not hold us back.
Yeah, and I think, to that point of fear, it is eliminating some jobs,
Mm-hmm.
but it's improving others.
Right.
We had a task on our platform where we're providing a client with an analysis every quarter of their email performance, of their engagement with different types of customers, the trends that they're seeing, the most popular articles, what gets a result, what gets a response, those kinds of things. It was
Mm-hmm.
all done manually.
Mm-hmm.
And that would take about a week for someone to put together, because there's a lot of data.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday I said, I think, what can I do here? And with one of the platforms that's great in making presentations, I loaded in 12 months of data of emails that had been sent out by this client, and said, give me a presentation that analyzes all of this data. And I had maybe 10 different points that I wanted for it.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 minutes later, I had a really great presentation that needs a couple little added tweaks, but it can go right to the client. So now to the employee that developed that, you don't have to do that anymore, but I've got 3 or 4 other things for you to do.
And I see, I hope anyone that's out there listening, you understand what Jon just offered. Like listen to that tidbit, especially for those of us that are in podcasts and you're looking for sponsors. It's the same idea, right? Jon just gave us the secret sauce real quick. I hope that y'all heard that. That is a tool that you can utilize that will enhance what you're doing. And so in Jon, so in that, because we don't feel like our story is even interesting or whatever it is, even AI can assist us in putting the right words in the right places, make it grammatically correct in certain, for certain things or whatever else. So I think those are the type of things that we could use it for too, to ensure that, hey, yes, I fell off, the boat, while I was canoeing or whatever it is, but the story doesn't sound right. But I need to do this presentation. How can I make it interesting enough, to enhance that? So I think those are the type of things that we could use AI for that help us to say, hey, our story is real, is authentic. You just need a few little points. Because some people are not plain people. Some people are not plain paper ideas. They need some bullet points.
I think the way to think about it is, what are the most vexing problems that I have? How can I solve that problem? And then what inputs do I need to help me solve that problem? And so
Right.
you make a list of all of the inputs, and so what data creates those inputs. So now I have that.
Mhm.
And then how would I design a solution, describe that? Okay, upload all of that to one of the AI platforms, write your prompt, see what you get back.
So why you gotta make it sound so simple? because unfortunately sometimes we overthink things. We overcomplicate things. And Jon, you just make it seem like, hey, while you're sitting there eating your cookies and milk, you can get this thing done. But when we take a look at this, and now we're implementing this, we're bringing this in, we're getting this data, all that type of stuff. Are we now putting ourselves in a position to be a thought-provoking leader, one that can help lead the team, that can help out a client, it can help out our pitch deck, whatever it is, that we've now put ourselves in a position where we don't have to be fearful that AI is going to take our job? Also, like you stated as well, AI does not have a personality. And because of the person that's inputting the information, it's going to take on your personality, not someone else's. And so you'll still be able to be yourself in that process as well. I think that's the other thing too. We feel like we're going to lose ourselves.
No, I think that's right. And I think, the other thing I would encourage people to do is to have fun with it. Do stupid things with it and see what comes back. It's like that tell me a joke kind of thing.
Right.
Yesterday I was trying to demonstrate one of the platforms I've been using to create presentations, and I was looking for one that I had created and I couldn't find it. And then I said, oh, well, let's try this. And I gave the instruction, create a slide presentation on how my dog ate my homework.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave me this 7 or 8 slide presentation on why my dog might have eaten my homework, how that happens, what happens when a dog eats. I mean, it's just things that I would not have thought of.
Right.
And so it was really fun. And so do those kinds of things. But don't, there was, you may recall, and I think, I want to say it's Nike, that during the Olympics, they had an ad about a young girl who was a runner and admired one of the Olympic runners. And so it was an ad from Google Gemini advising that your daughter can use Gemini to write the article to the person she admires. Okay. And there was an uproar. Is that how we want to teach our kids to write? And I would say no, but there are better ways to use AI. You can say, I want you to write your best letter, and then we'll check it and see what AI would do with it.
Right.
How would AI make it funny? How would they make it compassionate, compelling, or whatever? So use it to teach lessons to kids
Right.
as well, and teach them better grammar also.
Right.
So there are all kinds of things that you can do with it. My kids, who are now adults, would joke that when they would bring me a paper to write, or when it was on the computer, but the joke was basically, if I had a paper, I would get a red pen in each hand, so I would start marking it up and everything. And so, those are tools, but you use different tools now, and that's all it is.
Right. And I again, I appreciate you sharing that, because people are really nervous about AI. They really are. And people are really nervous that their story isn't strong enough to go into business with, to do a speech with, to even start a podcast with. It feels though, hey, my voice is not valuable enough. I don't have value in my life. And I think these type of things, like, hey, here's my story. How can I help to enhance it? Just AI, just give me some outline.
That's a really interesting idea. I mean, actually, and you could take the transcripts, let's say, from your last 5 podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
put them in AI, and say, I'm getting tired of doing podcasts. I'm trying to come up with another career. Can you give me 10 suggestions?
Mm-hmm.
And it will do that.
Mm-hmm.
It'll roll those out. Now, 9 of them might be crazy. Or maybe they lead to another idea, or that maybe there's something there. So it's those kinds of almost everyday kinds of things where it can help you.
Right. And again, that's thinking outside the box.
Yes.
And here's the other thing too. Hearing what you're saying, because I didn't think about that. I didn't, I'll and I'm gonna be honest with you. I use AI to get the show notes from the show, right? To help me, create the show notes or whatever it might be, just so I can have some pointers or whatever it is, But I never thought about, hey, you know what? Here's the last 5 shows, whether it's me by myself or the people that I've interviewed. And here's the thing, for those of you who are out there, you can even ask AI, what is the common theme amongst these 5 people that they all share?
Right.
Now, I can tell you from my end, each and every one of you have overcome a situation that puts you in a place where you are now. You didn't allow that to pull you back and make you hide behind a rock.
No, that's right. That's right.
You get what I mean? And so I think that's some of the things that we need to understand just from a pure human perspective, quote unquote, right? So you talk about AI, just from a human perspective. Hey, you know what? All of us, we are the same. We all feel the same. We look the same, whatever it is. So I think that's a great idea. I might have to use that though, John.
I think a way to think of it is, here's a tool for me. How can I use it to achieve more?
Right.
Whether it's in business or home, with family, whatever. What are the problems I face, and what would advance my thinking on that problem? It still comes down to you and how you're going to use it.
Right. John, man, I thank you, man. You provided a whole lot of thought-provoking ideas, and you made it so simple. It was just a general conversation, right? Something that those of you who are out there that's listening or that's going to watch this video, you can do it too. You're no different from where we are. You can make it happen, and don't get too caught up in AI that's going to take your whole life away. You'll still be breathing. Trust me.
Now, let me tell you that my company's website address is, the name of the company is Oomiji, OOMIJI, and the address is oomiji.ai.
So, is that legal? Can you use AI?
Yes, you can.
But I brought that up because, again, people are nervous, right? They're not sure how they can make things happen. So I thank you for providing that idea, thinking outside the box and how we can utilize this tool to enhance what we're doing. I appreciate that though, John.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Sure. And of course, I was going to ask you to provide any information how they can get in touch with you, but you've already done it.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. It's Jon Stamell, Stamell, and also oomiji.ai.
And of course, y'all, all his information will be in the show notes. So if you're one of those people that's out there on the canoe, if you're out there running or hiking, and Jon, he just so happened he showed me where he is, and this beautiful marina. So if you're out there on the boat and you're listening, go knock on Jon's door and have some tea with him or something. Tell Maurice. But Jon, I thank you very much for coming on to the show. And of course, I have to ask you my question though before I let you go. My would you rather question. So Jon, thinking outside the box as you have been, would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road?
3 doors or
a fork in the road?
The fork in the road.
Why a fork?
Because it's unknown as to what's either in either direction. So something interesting is going to be there. But you could say the same thing about the 3 doors. I don't know what's behind doors 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, to me, either of them present some unknowns and some possible adventure.
Yes, they do. And again, there's no right or wrong in this situation. I ask everybody, I want everybody to use their imagination, and there's no parameters. Because sometimes when we look at these type of things, whether it's the fork or the door, it's our limitations that we put on that. So I'll give you an idea that one of the guests who answered the question, right? He said, Maurice, well, my doors are glass. I already know what's behind them.
Well, there's that old poem, I think, by Robert Frost. I took a walk in a yellow wood and came across a divided path, and I took the one that less traveled on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really what I'm talking about.
Right.
You come to a fork in a path and you see one that's heavily trodden and the other one, there's something down that other one.
Right. Well, Jon, again, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you too.
You're welcome. And of course, everyone, thank you very much for listening to That Will Nevr Work podcast. And I'll talk to you just a little bit later.
Thanks for listening. Follow Maurice Chism on social media to stay connected and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work. Or will it?